Hey, 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 beautiful heart. What's vibing today? Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new, welcome, welcome. Hope you have a drink, you're relaxed, sitting down, ready for the show so you could be just as surprised as what comes out of my mouth as I am. If you're returning, welcome back, guys, and thank you for your patience. I have been MIA for the past week. For those of you who follow me on Facebook, you already know what's been going on. For those of you who don't, I I have parrots. Technically, I have four of them. Last Thursday night, right before going to bed, when I was putting each of them to bed, I found my first parrot. She's a Quaker parrot, Pickle. Um, she had passed away and she was on the bottom of her cage. And the traumatic part was we have a nighttime routine and a whole little song and dance that I have for each one of the birds. And it really appeared like she was waiting for that. And that night, so much was going on that I ended up being late to put her to bed. And so that was the traumatic part for me because I was late. When I found her, she was still warm. Um, Her eyes were open and her mouth was open, and one of her wings was splayed out. Um, and I just knew in my heart she had been waiting for me to come and say goodnight before she passed. But anyways, so that hit hard. You guys know Spike, my we all laugh. We called him my emotional support dragon. My adopted bearded dragon is more like he adopted me, but he was my buddy. We went everywhere together. Um, he left, he transitioned in November. So that one was really hard. And then, this whole thing with Pickle. And you guys know I'm nursing little Merlin back to health. So, anyways, it was a bit traumatic. So I took some time off for that, and as things happen, I had to go get crickets for a little bit over here because, guys, update on him for those of you who have been following that story. He is eating since moving him into the smaller, what I call emergency ER tank. He is doing so much better. He's happier in there. He's eating like a trooper. So I had to get him more crickets. No, I do not go to chain pet stores for their food or anything like that. There's a smaller one here, not too far from the house. They know me, I know them. I have consulted for them on bird behavior and things like that. But anyways, I walk in and stay with me, guys, because in meditation and these cards come out, this story is relevant. You guys know I don't share or tell stories unless it's relevant to the energy. Um, so I'm still, thinking about Pickle and Little Bit and all of that. So I'm at the back and I'm waiting in line to get crickets. And I noticed, they have tanks all the way up. So up at the top tank, where I have to stand up on my tippy toes to just barely even see into it. There was what they called an adult bearded dragon. I'd say more juvenile, but whatever. Um, and he was just minding his business, and I just like, oh, you know, you're cute. And then all of a sudden, when it's like he locked eyes on me, and he turned, he ran up to the front of the tank. And so I was just talking to him, what have you, and one of the girls there who I always talk with, she's like, look at him. We haven't seen him this interested in anybody. And I was like, oh, he's so adorable. She's like, do you want to hold him? I'm like, yeah, why not? I mean, somebody's offering me to hold a dragon. Yeah, no, not turning that down. She gets the step stool. She climbs up. She opens the glass door. Remember, I told you how high up he was? She goes to reach in to get him, and he's already locked eyes on me. He yeets himself out of that tank, full jump. He looked like a flying squirrel and lands on my chest and just runs up to my neck and snuggles in under my hair. But right before he did that, he looked at me like, let's go, let's go. He gave me that look like, woman, drive it like you stole it. And her and I were both like, whoa. And she's like, he seems like he knows you, like he's waiting for you. I said, yeah, he does. And I knew in that moment, I'm like, he's picked me. I'm familiar to him. This is really interesting. I had no desire to put him down. I also had no plans on bringing home another dragon. That was not in the plans. But that's what happened. So I didn't even attempt to get him off of me. I just, I took him and came home with him. He was on my chest the whole time. Then I come home and discover my pug had become an escape artist and was roaming the neighborhood when I couldn't find her. And she normally doesn't leave. But lately some new dogs have moved into the neighborhood, so it's a whole thing. She goes out. Our home sits up on a hill, so when you go out the back, we have the back patio. It's raised up. We can see into all of the neighbors' yards. They can't see into ours. It's that type of setup. So she goes out there. She has a routine. She runs to the left, talks to the dogs over there. Then the new dogs to the right, they come out, they have a specific bark and it calls her out, all of that. Well, she got brave. I guess she decided she was going to go and see if the dogs could come out and play. Um, because I'm cleaning the house, getting things ready to put the new dragon into its vivarium. His name is Kumara. And all of a sudden, I realize Mookie's nowhere to be found. And I'm screaming and yelling. Can't find her. I look at Luna like, where's Mookie? And she's my Boston Terrier wants no part of drama. She's just like, nope, I don't know. At this point, I go running outside the garage. I'm starting to run up the hill yelling for Mookie. And I see a neighbor walking her dog. She's like, "Are you looking for your pug?" I said, "Yeah." She's like, "Oh, she's up the street on this, describing the house. She's on the porch. Their dog's in the front window, and it's like they're having a meeting." I'm like, "Oh my God." So anyways, completely forget I have Kumara on me this whole time. So now we're on this adventure running through the neighborhood. Get the pug, we come back. My son had heard me yelling for Mookie, and which woke him up because again, this is early in the morning. So he comes down, he's halfway down the stairs, half asleep. He's like, "Where's Mookie? Is everything okay? What do we need to do?" And I said, "I just brought her in. I'm telling him the story. She was up the street." And he's got this look on his face, like he's trying to make sense of something. And I'm like, "What?" Then I remembered I had Kumara on me. Now, mind you, Kumara was not in the plans. So nobody knew about this dragon. They knew, that my boys know that Merlin, little bit, that I'm, trying to help him grow and all of that. So then my son just goes, "Is that the same dragon?" And that's when it dawned on me. I started laughing. I was like, "Oh my God." I said, "No, there's a whole story about this." He's like, "Oh my God." He goes, "I thought we jumped timelines or something because I just checked in on Merlin last night. There was no way he was that big." I was confused that he grew that big overnight. And I was like, "No, no, no." So I told him the story of what happened. And he just looks at me and he goes, sounds like it's meant to be. Sounds like Spike sent you a friend. So I was like, yeah. And anyways, why did I take all that time to tell you that? Hopefully you're still here. Because we have been talking about a lot of loss in different forms that has been going on. And I've been talking about we are switching timelines. Things are changing up. To be able to welcome in the new or what you want to manifest, we have to let go of the old. We have to let go of the attachments to the old. That doesn't mean you have to let go of the memories or any of that. What it means is a shift in perspective. That if you're noticing your friend circle is changing, um, maybe your job, your career is changing, maybe you're not talking to certain family members or the person you're interested in or dating, whatever it is, it's general. This will be different for each of you. But when we hold on to the attachment, and how do you know you're holding on to the attachment? You have an inner dialogue, you've got a story around it. And if in this story, you are either taking the blame, taking responsibility, um, feeling less than, not good enough, not worthy, that's how you know it's altered ego. It's the old story. That's what needs to go. When you release that, you open the floodgates for the new to come in. And guys, here's another caveat. When altered ego is in the mix, altered ego is the part of you, the little I, that has all the plans that, well, I desire this, I want this, so it needs to look like this, and this. And we get into our head and we have all these different scenarios, excuse me, of how things should come in. That's self-sabotage because the universe is going to show up and show off for you when you are in gratitude and when you are allowing. And I promise you, it is not going to show up the way little I has designed it. We can miss our blessings and our desires because we're so stuck on it showing up in one way. And if it doesn't show up that in that way, we go into confusion or we talk ourselves out of it and say, well, no, I didn't want it that way. So that can't be for me. I'm just going to wait. I'm not going to go into stories about that. But what I'm going to say is this new energy, this new timeline that we have stepped upon, it is calling for a new version of us. The old ways, the old thinking, the old ways of doing things are not going to work. This is about leading from the heart, from the intuition, moving when you know it's time to move, standing still when you know you're not supposed to go yet. Notice I didn't say when it's comfortable. This new energy is about getting comfortable being uncomfortable, trusting the process. So let's get into it. Number one, crown, right to know, go beyond attachments, divine alignment. When you have attachments, you are not in divine alignment. Attachments, here's a metaphor. You're on a boat or a ship. You're sailing out. Let's say you're coming into a cove-like area. The scene is beautiful. You want to just stop there for a moment. What do? You throw down the anchor. You attach, that anchor is attaching itself to the bottom to hold that position. It's attached to something. You're no longer just riding the waves, okay? When you're attached like that, you're not moving forward, you're not moving backwards. You may be feeling waves, you may be having the bounce, but you're not in the flow. You are in a stopped state, a state of pause, a state of attachment. How often do we get comfortable in our uncomfortableness, And what I want to say to that is ask yourself, how attached are you to your own story of defeat, of lack of, I don't care if it's finances, love, luck, whatever. How often do you find yourself repeating those same stories? Yeah, you're upset. Yeah, it triggers you. It throws you into a depression. But how long do you spend in that depressed state, marinating in that old story? But this always happens. But this always happens. I'm trying so hard. Yeah. You've thrown your anchor overboard and you're sitting there. The waves are coming. They're not coming to knock you out. They're coming to get your attention, to get you moving. Leave the attachment. Pull that anchor up. Get in a divine alignment. You will never be in divine alignment if you are attached to something. You can't be in attachment and be in flow. It's two different vibrations. This phase of your life is calling for a higher version of you. It's calling for divine alignment. I'm recording this on March 1st, brand new month. The numerology for this month is 11. That is a master number. That is a powerful number that has such beautiful energy around it. Drop the attachments to the old energy. Follow the guidance. Number 5, inner compass support. Trust your guidance. Trust the process. Trust your guidance. Don't trust what your bestie's saying. Don't trust what your mama's saying or whoever it is. If what their guidance is saying causes you to go into confusion or it doesn't align, that's not for you. Everybody is going to have their own opinions. Release the attachment to the people that you have looked to and have followed their guidance for a long time. Where has that gotten you? And guys, I'm not speaking of like a mentor or somebody on a higher vibration. I'm speaking about attachments. We all have been there. We all attach to people. um, sorry, a message just came in. We've all been attached to people that we valued their opinion, this, that, or the other, or we have dreams and desires we want to do, but we know if we do that, it's going to upset this person or we may lose that friendship. I've had that in my life many, many times. Had I stayed in that zone of an attachment with a very, very close friend who I still hold dearly in my heart to this day, but I knew me choosing to go on my spiritual path and follow my heart, my desires, and my intuition, I had to stand up, speak my truth, and let that go because she didn't approve of what I do. She knows of my gifts. She used to always call on me for my gifts. But the fact that I have cards, then that's where she drew the line. So, whatever the story is for you, and again, it's not that she didn't give good advice, but she gave it through a different filter. And a lot of these people in our lives, if you really break down what they're saying, they are giving you guidance in your life through a filter, through their own filter of doubt and fear. This is a time on your path. If you notice, these cards are very singular. It's a time for you to trust you to go inward. Number 4, multidimensional. Multiple dimensions, timelines, be you. Don't even try to fit in. What was I saying? What did I say about that story about, my son looking at me and going, I thought we jumped timelines because he's so much bigger. But But, and again, you guys have been feeling the shift. You can't move forward in this new timeline with even having a toe in the old timeline. Having a toe in the old timeline is looking back and saying, but this never works out. This, these are the same experiences as before. No, this is the time for you to discipline yourself to really focus on what you want, not what you don't want, not the experiences you had. Here we have Alice. This is the Fool card. This is a brand new adventure. Here we have the Cheshire Cat. This is the Moon. Yeah, guess what? You're not going to get a spotlight on this yellow brick road that you found yourself on. The next step, the next thing will make itself known when you take that step. You have to take that first step, then the road appears. You are going to have to trust your heart and your intuition, not your head, and start to get used to moving in that way. Yeah, the Tower. Guess what? The Tower comes in. So many people fear this card. Stop fearing it. The Tower comes in to shake up, release that attachment, release that anchor, so you can get right back on the path that you're supposed to be and get into divine alignment. The only way, excuse me, that is not going to happen is if you stay in this Five of Cups energy. This is the mock turtle sitting and wallowing in the past of all the things that didn't happen and thinking about it. Haven't you had enough experience in that? This whole message, this whole reading is here to support you, to tell you, hey, there's nothing wrong with you. You haven't wasted time. All you need to do is release the old, release the attachments. Yeah, do it scared. It'll be the best decision you've done for yourself and you will not regret it. Guardian angels, white, number 3. Yeah, you've got protection, clarity, spirituality, and wisdom. And 30, point of view, gratitude, assistance, guidance, and understanding. This is all about changing your point of view, changing your perspective. Ask yourself, are you more in the woe is me turtle, the Eeyore energy of this didn't happen, nothing's changing, I'm so tired of this, woe is me, blah, blah, blah? Or are you saying, you know what, I've played that role long enough. You be quiet. I'm pulling up that attachment, I'm pulling up that anchor, and I'm moving forward because the universe has my back. The universe always wants to show up and show off for me. So with this all ties in, going back to my story at the beginning. It wasn't in the plan to bring home another dragon, but I was in a state of allowing. I had released those attachments to what was. It's not that I released my attachment to the love that I had for Spike or Pickle, not that at all. This is a new time. Things are changing. I'm the one who kept saying, expect the unexpected. There's going to be loss, this, that, and the other. But again, both Spike and Pickle did take me by surprise. Did I have intuitive hits? I did, but obviously I didn't want to look at those. But, I allowed myself the grief. I allowed myself to grieve. And there was a point that I came to of, you know what? I absolutely miss them. And I know that there is no loss. I know that this is a transition, that, in spirit, they're still here with me. And I don't have to spend time in the grief of, well, I don't have them anymore. life was better when I had them, things like that, whatever the story is. It wasn't easy, but yes, process, I took time off from life, from everything to literally process so I didn't delay my grief. I spent many years doing that, allowing myself to feel something and then talking myself out of that heavier feeling, not working through it, not uncovering it, but just, oh no, I'm okay, okay, putting a flower pot on it and just saying, hey, it's good. How many of you have done that in different areas of your life? And it's really not good. It's just not dealt with. It's more out of sight, out of mind. So, is this what this tower energy is bringing up? So, you could really look at it and you get to make that choice. Is the attachment to whoever or whatever, is that really serving you, or is it keeping you here? Because if it's keeping you here and here, it's time to make a different choice and a different decision. And expect the unexpected. When you move from a place of allowance, allowing the universe to show up and show off, qualifying the energy every day that the universe is always conspiring in your favor. When things happen, you are ready to move. I didn't sit there or stand there in that moment and go through a dialogue of, well, gosh, should I bring him home? Should I not? This, that, what about this? What about? No, I didn't. It was okay. This intuitively feels right. I had no intentions on this, and yeah, he picked me. I'm not going to discount that. And, for those naysayers or, oh, well, it's just your energy. All animals are attracted to you, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to call BS on that because for a while, I was looking at different breeders for bearded dragons and had it kind of in the back of my mind of, well, when I'm ready, I'm going to use this breeder and I'm going to get this dragon. But the whole time, my heart was saying, no, let the dragon pick you. But I would push it away. Had I spent any time in that energy, I would tell you, I would not have brought him home. I would have said, oh, that's adorable, put him back. I'm not ready. I didn't do that. And this is just one example, because this is the freshest in my mind, and that's what I started with. But my life is a pattern of these things, of letting go of all those attachments, qualifying the energy every day, and being in the flow. That's why my life is so different than it ever has been. I let go of attachments. I let go of those old stories, that old mentality. Things don't work out for me. For those of you who have been with me for years, you might remember way back when technology was a point of contention for me. It was always like an issue. And what was my story? Technology hates me, blah, 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 blah. And I had that epiphany years ago that, wait a minute, I need to change my story. I need to change my dialogue. I need to embrace this and allow this in my life and not have that resistance to it. And for those of you who don't know, in that allowing and embracing technology, I manage a travel tech startup. I manage the operations. Before that, I managed the technology for another agency. I mean, I used to crack up and laugh and just go, wow, this is so ironic. And if my old employers or old friends could see this, because at my old employer, I used to have so much technology issues. I was assigned my own IT person. He didn't like me. Dealing with him was a nightmare. But in the end, it was wow, things happen to you that I've never seen happen or that don't usually happen. And it was always drawn in like a negative light that, and I'm like, look, I'm a very educated person. I'm not just book smart, I'm pretty street smart too. In fact, I had my street smarts before I had book smarts. But technology was one area that was just so frustrating for me. I chose to see it different. I chose to release that attachment to those stories. And honestly, I am living my dream life. Um, what I do now is really the pinnacle of my career. You know, building a company from the ground up from day one. And we are a tech company. We're doing something that has never been done in this industry and building it on the blockchain. But had you asked me or told, if anybody would have told me even 5, 6, 10 years ago, oh, in your future, you're going to be managing a tech startup that nobody's done before, I would have laughed and been like, man, you read that wrong. But look, here I am. I I absolutely love it. So when you let go of the attachment and you really start saying, I say yes to life and life says yes to me, you will find yourself living a life you couldn't have dreamed of on your own. But because you were grateful, you let go of attachments, and you allowed, you will find yourself living that dream life. That's what has to happen. Why hasn't it happened for you yet? You keep making the same decisions based on your experience and your story and your trauma. Doesn't mean it's truth. Ask yourself, are you still in alignment with negative Nelly? Or have you been working through that? Are you really more wanting to be Alice? Do you want to be Alice in your own wonderland? Yeah, you're going to go through weird times. You're going to come across the Cheshire cat. It's going to be like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. But it's through those choices change comes, because the universal law is what you put out has to come back to you. It's energy and vibration. So if you're not putting out negative Nelly energy, if you're not rehashing the old stories, guess what? That cannot come to pass. I don't care if that's what it looks like right now. If that's what you're facing right now and you are very drawn to that energy, I challenge you. What do you have to lose? I challenge you for the next 3 days, you channel your inner Alice. You do what you have to do to get out of that thinking. Do not allow yourself to go back or look in the rearview mirror and draw from your past experiences. You want to be in this full energy, this Alice energy. You want a new life. You cannot look back. You cannot make decisions from this place. You have to put on that Cheshire cat smile and just go, you know what? I don't know how it's going to happen or when it's going to happen, but I know that it is, because in today, in the now moment, I am making a different choice. Therefore, making a different choice, feeling a different way, seeing it from a different perspective has to bring about a different outcome. And the only way you are going to prove that to yourself is you doing it. Because you could sit here, you could listen to my stories, you could book all the sessions with me. But until you actually put this into place in your life, it won't be real to you. Ask yourself, can you afford to keep reliving the old experiences? If your answer is no, then stop looking at them. Stop telling yourself the same story. Stop it. Make a different choice, tell a different story. That's the only way you are guaranteed a completely different choice. If you are struggling in that, if you're struggling to see what thought pattern or belief is holding you back, check out my March Madness special. Book a session with me. The rates to have a session with me will never be this low again. And I am doing this for March Madness. I don't waste your time. We get right to the root. I do not let you tell me your story. Your old story doesn't matter. We're going to go right to the root. We're going to look at where is this attachment? What is holding you back? And I will give you tips and tricks on what you need to do to get out of it. This will be the best investment you make for you. There's no upsell. There's no, you have to listen to this, or, buy this to get this. No, 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 no. You book a session, you get it all. That's how I operate. Go ahead, jump onto my site. It's on Pensite, and look at the testimonials. All right. Okay, guys, thank you so much. I hope this helped. And as always, I am sending you oceans and oceans of love from my heart to yours. Alakai, Alakai, Alakai.